In 1977, Cameron Hooker kidnapped Colleen Stan and held her prisoner in his Northern California home for 7 years. He kept Colleen in a wooden box under his bed that he shared with his wife, Janice Hooker. Cameron only released her from her box to beat her and to force her to have intimate relations with him. After extended psychological warfare on her and manipulation and brainwashing her, he eventually let her out to become a live-in babysitter and a sex slave for the couple. Stan was able to survive and eventually escape in 1984 with the help of Cameron's wife. She returned to her family, but she was too afraid to report the years of abuse and assault to police. She became known as the girl in the box, and her story shocked people all around the world. The true details of what happened to Colleen Stan appear almost like an urban legend. But before we get into this twisted story, if you guys like strange true crime stories, then this is the place to be. Make sure to tip that like button. Join that SBG family by subscribing and hitting that notification button. All right, guys, let's go. In 1977, 20-year-old Colleen Stan was hitchhiking from Eugene, Oregon. That's where she lived, that's her home, all the way to Northern California for a friend's birthday party. She considered herself an expert hitchhiker, and on that day, she actually turned down 2 rides because they did not look safe. However, when a blue van pulled over in Red Bluff, California, Colleen saw that it was being driven by a man and his wife in the passenger seat and a small baby in the back seat. Deeming the young couple as safe and seeing that they were traveling with the baby, she said, you know what? I'm gonna jump on in. Sadly, she had no idea what she was in for, and this is the story of Colleen Stan, aka the girl in the box. The man in the blue van was 23-year-old Cameron Hooker. He was traveling with his wife, 19-year-old Janice Hooker. And as it turns out, they have been actively searching for someone to kidnap. Cameron, a lumber mill worker, had intense bondage fantasies. Not that there's anything wrong with bondage, but if you're in one of my stories and you're into that, then you're probably on some wild shit. Let's be honest here. Until they captured Colleen Stan, he was actually living out his fantasies on his wife, Janice. And this hitchhiker, Colleen, would be Janice's replacement, so she can get some relief. Shortly after Colleen got into the van, so it was about 30 minutes into the drive, they just kind of veered off the road. They reached a remote area, and that's when Cameron pulled out a knife and held it to her neck. And then he forced her head into a box. This box weighed about 20 pounds. It was kind of like almost like a clamp down on her head like this. It was made with like soundproof materials. It was like a real snug fit, and it pretty much blocked out all the sound, all the light, so she could not see. He was like a master carpenter, so he was able to construct this box like perfectly snug fit. Went over the neck. She could not hear, see. She could barely even breathe. But it just basically covered her head, so she did not know where she was going, didn't know what was going on. Then the car eventually drove to a house, and then Colleen Stan was led downstairs, where she just horrific tortures, fucking nuts, horrific. She was basically tied to the ceiling by her wrists, and she was beaten, electrocuted, whipped, and burned. And initially, this demented, sick-ass couple had some kind of agreement that Cameron couldn't have any kind of sexual contact with her. Quickly broken, but at first, Colleen was just forced to watch the couple have sex together. And like I said, that was quickly broken. You saw that coming because, of course, that's not gonna fly. Of course he's going to assault this woman, so that's exactly what Cameron did. He started incorporating sexual assaults into his forms of torture against Colleen. So back to that first night of Colleen getting abducted. So Cameron basically forced her to sleep in a wooden box, but it was more like a crate just to keep Colleen from escaping. Now, she couldn't lay down in this box when she fell asleep. She had to kind of sleep sitting up, so she wasn't very comfortable And while she was in this box, sitting up, sleeping, she was also bound by chains. So you can imagine fucking horrible that is. So eventually, this couple moved out of their house and into a mobile home. So now they didn't have a basement to actually house Colleen. So the old wooden crate that she was in just would not work. So Cameron, being the master carpenter that he is, he constructed another box. And this one was approximately the same size as a coffin. And this allowed Cameron to actually sleep lying down. But she's still in a fucking box, so it's still not comfortable. And ultimately, the couple decided to put the box under their bed. Yes, under their bed. And the box had like air holes and whatnot, but it would still get over 100 degrees on warm days in that house. So it was just a freaking nightmare, or a fucking nightmare, I should say. Been cussing all this time. Now, the couple had 2 young daughters, and the daughters did not even know that Colleen was living under their parents' bed in a box. They didn't know she was living there. They did not know she was being held against her will. Now, although Colleen was subject to regular beatings and assault and abuse, Stan actually didn't consider that to be the worst part of living under their bed in this box. What she feared the most was Cameron's claim of being in a satanic cult called the Company. She was told that the Company was this powerful organization that just kept watch over her and her family daily, and they had her phones bugged and they were just surveying them at all times. What she feared the most was if she escaped, then the Company would come after her and her family and do them physical harm. So after Cameron held Colleen captive for several months, he forced her to sign a master and slave contract. This effectively forced Stan to give up her own free will and to serve as the couple's personal property, basically. Cameron also stated that Colleen's new name would be K-A-Y, instead of Colleen, but we're not gonna call her K because that's not her fucking name. Her name's Colleen. The contract also commanded that she call him master and called his wife Janice ma'am. And this was all just an attempt to just dehumanize and make her feel like shit, make her feel worse, and just continue that abuse from physical to a psychological abuse. And that's all this was. But by complying with Cameron's wishes, she actually earned more and more freedoms. Like she was able to go play in the garden, she was able to go for jogs and whatnot. And in March of 1981, she was even allowed to visit her family. Cameron came with her and stated that he was her fiance. Her family took a happy-looking photograph of the pair, but her lack of communication and money made them believe that she was in a cult. So they knew something was off with her. It didn't seem normal. She didn't seem right. But they were afraid that if they pressed her too much and came down too hard on her, they would never see her again. And again, Colleen Stan's fear of the Company prevented her from actually telling her parents what's going on, what's happening. So she walked right out that door, back into the clutches of Cameron and Janice. Now, Colleen Stan was held captive for 7 years. Yes, 7 fucking years. From 1977 to 1984. Towards the end of that 7-year span, Cameron stated that he wanted to have Colleen as a second wife. And of course, this did not bode well for Janice Hooker. And it was only after this turning point that Janice revealed that Cameron is not a part of the Company. And she decided she would help her escape. And now, so I'm hearing this piece here, and it sounds like the only reason why Janice is helping her escape is because she is jealous that her insane, twisted, fucking criminal husband is interested in Colleen. Otherwise, this woman, let's just continue. So in the beginning, Janice asked that Colleen not say anything to the police. She was basically convinced that her husband could be rehabilitated. But when she realized that Cameron could not be saved, it was actually Janice that reported him to the police. So let's go back there a little bit and let's flesh that out a little bit. Once Janice confided in Colleen and told her that the Company's not fake, then Colleen was no longer afraid to escape. She knew the Company would not be coming for her family, so Janice actually helped her escape by driving her to a bus station. From there, Colleen called her father back in Eugene, Oregon, asked him for bus tickets to get back home. After she called her father for help to get back home, she actually called Cameron and told him that she is not coming back. She does not believe in the company. Fuck the contracts, it's over. And it's reported that Cameron cried on the phone like a little biatch, but she says, "I'm never coming back. I'm gone. Peace." Chucked the deuces and was out. And after she returned to her family in Oregon, she didn't tell anyone, including the police, about the years and years of torture that she endured. And like I said, before she escaped, Janice would try to convince, or actually she convinced Colleen not to report her husband. And Colleen didn't, for just fear, embarrassment. Yeah, for some reason she just didn't report this. At the same time, Janice was a dumbass because she believed that she could reform her husband through prayer and counseling. But yeah, this motherfucker's sick. This dude's evil. You can pray for the devil all you want, ain't gonna change his ways. And eventually Janice kind of realized that Cameron would not change his sick, twisted, sadistic ways. So she actually confided in her pastor about Cameron and what he was up to and what he was doing. And then her pastor encouraged her to contact the police. So that's what she did. And on November 18th of 1984, months after Stan's escape, authorities arrested Cameron. And Cameron Hooker was charged with sexual assault and kidnapping. And at the trial, Janice testified against him, in return was giving full immunity, which I fucking hate when they can get off after being complicit in a crime and then get fucking full immunity. But hey, whatever. I don't know. That's the justice system for you. But Colleen Stan's experience was described as unparalleled in FBI history. Like, this case is just so bizarre. Cameron Hooker was found guilty and given consecutive terms, totaling a 104-year sentence. So that's good, because his ass is in there for life. And in 2015, he applied for parole and was denied. I didn't say apply like you apply like for a fucking job, but you know what I mean. He tried to get paroled and they say, hell no. And it will be a minimum of 15 years before he's eligible for parole again. So just to state it clearly, Janice was not charged with any crimes here. I just want to make that known. I know I said she had full immunity. Just wanted to make that clear. She was not charged, for anyone that's going to ask me in the comments. She should have been. She should have been. If you feel she should have been, let me know in the comment section. But back to Colleen here. So during her confinement or kidnapping, she developed, chronic shoulder and back pain from being trapped in this box for 7 years. Like I said, imagine sleeping in a coffin for 7 years. That's basically what she did. Sleeping in a coffin under someone else's bed, hearing them on top of you while you're fucking asleep for 7 years. Imagine this, what that does to your psychology, your body physically. It's insane. But eventually, Colleen, after returning home, she received extensive therapy. She eventually got married, had a daughter of her own, and she joined an organization committed to helping abused women, and she earned a degree in accounting. So Colleen came out on top. She survived this horrible ordeal, but she went on and had a family, great education, it sounds like. She's helping abused women out there. So she's doing great. She's doing well. So more power to you, Colleen. Yeah, what you survived was insane. Colleen Stan and Janice Hooker both changed their names, but they do continue to reside in California. However, they do not communicate with one another, of course, because I would not be talking to anybody associated with that shit. When people ask, how did she survive? How did she stay so resilient during those times, during that whole 7 years? Stan told reporters, I learned I could go anywhere in my mind. You just remove yourself from the real situation going on and you just go somewhere else. But before we go any further here, I do want to point out that Colleen was not their first victim. During Cameron's 1985 trial for capturing and abusing Colleen Stan, Janice revealed that her husband actually captured another woman, 19-year-old Marie Elizabeth Spanicki. I probably pronounced her last name incorrect, and I apologize for that. This happened on January 31st, 1976. And that was a year before they offered that ride to Colleen Stan. And the couple picked up Marie Elizabeth when she was hitchhiking in Chico, California. According to Janice, they took the woman to their home in Red Bluff, and Cameron, of course, physically harmed her, assaulted her, abused her, and eventually killed her. Marie Elizabeth's body was never found, And also authorities were never able to find enough evidence to actually prosecute Cameron for this murder. There's no evidence, but Janice says that they did this. So I'm assuming she's telling the truth here, because at this point she has no reason to lie, because her husband's already going to go to prison because she's already the star witness and all this. I believe he killed this additional woman and buried her body somewhere, disposed of her body somewhere, and they can't find her. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. But all right, guys, that was it for this strange story. Do you guys think this is a case of Stockholm syndrome as well? It sounds like she was able to kind of break free a couple times. I know he kind of used the whole company against her to kind of spook her and whatnot, but is this a case of Stockholm syndrome? Was she kind of connecting with her captors here and kind of siding with them? Do you guys think so? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. This is a strange case. This is a peculiar case. Cases like this where people get abducted and they're able to kind of go free and go outside by themselves, go see family. These cases are interesting to me because it's definitely something more psychological going on there. The games that they're playing with their captors or victims. But yeah, anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. This is a wild ass case. If you guys have any more cases you want to hear me, let me know in the comment section. All right, guys, be good, be safe.